Hello, and welcome to my Gishki Melffy Spright deck profile. I think it's important to be able to know all the different cards in the deck so that you can know exactly what to do in every situation with every card in the deck. So that's why I kind of wanted to just go over what I think the important points of each monster in the deck are. So I have a little Word doc so people can follow along here. Right now I'm just going to cover the Gishki side of the deck. 3 Gishki Grimness. So this is a level 2 monster. It can special summon primarily Gishki Abyss from the deck. Gishki Abyss is a card that lets you search for your Gishki ritual monsters in your Gishki spell trap cards. It can search Shadow, and then Shadow can discard itself to add a ritual spell. Vision can discard itself to add a ritual monster. So you immediately go +2, and I think that that's really nice that you just get some card advantage right off the bat. I feel like this is kind of like the Spright Blue of the Gishki side. If you think about it, this card lets you special summon any Gishki monster from the deck, and then Spright Blue lets you add any Spright monster from the deck. These two can trade their positions so freely, basically. It can also function as the whole ritual tribute. I think that that's actually pretty interesting as well. We'll just normal summon this. We'll declare the effect of Grimness. We'll search the deck. We'll special summon Gishki Abyss. And we'll declare the effect of Gishki Abyss. And we'll add to our hand a copy of Gishki Vanity. From here, we'll just overlay, make Gigantic, declare effect of Gigantic. So here in the 1-card combo scenario, if you only have 1 card, you can still do this play. So you just link off a swap and Gigantic to make a Spright Sprint. We'll declare the effect, and we'll send a Nimble Angler, and we'll declare the effect of Angler, and now we'll go for 2 copies of Nimble Beaver. From here, you just got to link off these 2 beavers to make Bujinki Ahashima. Then you can declare the effect of Bujinki, special summon Vanity, and special summoned Swap Frog. So this works because Vanity is Aqua and level 2, and the same as Swap Frog. So this is totally fine. You can overlay to make a totally awesome. Yeah, we'll go over the second combo. But again, we're just gonna start with the Grimness. So we'll normal summon, declare the effect. I kind of want to just cover the idea that you might have something like a Gishki Vision or like a Narrow-Monas in your hand or something like that, and you want to set up like a ritual spell or a ritual play for next turn. We'll go for a Gigantic Spright, and we'll detach. My theory behind this is that Grimness and Blue are interchangeable. So basically Blue if you were to just get Blue and like Jet out, for instance, with like starter, then you can use Gigantic to go for Grimness and then go for Abyss, but it can also work vice versa. So Grimness and Abyss are here going for Gigantic to special summon, in this case, Spright Blue. So declare the effect of Blue, a Spright Jet. If you were trying to think like, I want to set up like a spell or trap card negate, you can go for starter. Or if you wanted to set up some sort of like a removal, you could go for Smashers. Starter, we'll just go for that because I think that that's the best one to go for in most situations. So we'll link off those 2. We'll dump the Nimble Angler, declare the effect, and we'll go for our beavers. And then we can just overlay these 2 to make Melffy of the Forest. Declare the effect, detach, add our Caddy. I like to just fire it and go for Carrot. I'd really like to hear people's opinions. Sometimes, like, if I don't do this first, like, I've been like wrecked by like Dark Hole or some shit. So that's why I try to do that. Just try to get out of the way really fast. You can declare the effect of Caddy and special summon it. From this one Gishki Grimness, we started with 1 card. We ended up with 6 cards. So it's a +5 combo. and it really sets up your entire Gishki board as well as your Melffy board. Unlike in other Melffy decks, you can now declare the effect of Herald of the Arclight. Let's go over Gishki Shadow. So this is a level 4 monster that lets you add the Gishki Ritual spell. Once you actually have your Ritual monsters, this is the best thing to be adding back to your hand off of Totally Awesome. So it's important to kind of just make sure that you have this card on board. I also make sure that I play 3 copies in my deck. It's required for the 2-card combo that I think really kind of sets this deck apart. 3 Shadow, like it just lets you see it like immediately, like bam. Like right there, we're setting up for our 2-card combo. Next up, we have the 1 Gishki Vision. Gishki Vision is the counterpart to Gishki Shadow in that it lets you add a ritual monster instead of a ritual spell. I find that once I have 1 Vision and I have the Neuromanus, like I'm done. Like I don't need the Vision anymore. You can't actually add Neuromanus off of Abyss, but what you can do is you can add Neuromanus off of like Herald of the Arclight instead. Or you can add a Vision back with like Totally Awesome. 1 Vision has served me for so long. And yeah, 2 Gishki Abyss. So the thing that I really like about Abyss is that this is not a hard once per turn that lets you search for a Gishki monster with 1,000 less defense. And then once you search for the Shadow, you can then use it to discard. These cards kind of like bait hand traps as well. There's tons of combos that use Nimble Beaver and then they go for Angler. And Angler doesn't add you anything, but you can still combo off, and people have done that for a while, and it's mainly because this 1 Beaver is giving you multiple cards, and the Grimness is especially summoning the Abyss, and the Abyss, if that triggers or baits an Ash Blossom or something like that, that's good, I think. If you're worried, just like test the waters to dump a Vision, dump a Shadow. If they Ash it, cool. Go for your Grimness, go for your starter, go for your Beaver. Next up, we have 1 copy of Gishki Vanity. It really does feel like a really sweet roll, a really nice sweet spot, because it can be special summoned off of Gigantic Sprite. It can be sent off of Swap Frog. It can also be sent off of like Sprite Sprin. But more importantly, it can be added off of Gishki Abyss. And if you need it in the graveyard after adding it off of Abyss, then you can just discard it off of its own effect. I think that this card really helps out, just making Totally Awesome way more available. And then also, it just, if you needed it, if you actually end up using it for the spell and trap thing, then that's so jokes and awesome. The next step that I have is the Gishki Neuromanus. This is like the payoff, basically. Like, what are we using these Gishkis for? Like, besides the beaver-like aspects of Grimness and stuff, but this is a really, really nice payoff. This card can special summon a water monster from the graveyard, including Toad or Gishkis or Swap or Beavers or whatever. That is not a hard once per turn. This negation is also really, really nice monster shuffling, like going back into the deck, so the opponent doesn't even get to use like the resource later. Now I'm just gonna go over the Gishki Spells. First off, we have 3 Focused Aquamere, non once per turn Rhoda for the deck that lets you add any Gishki. So if again you were looking for different reasons to say why we only needed 1 of these visions, is we can just, if you need a Neuromanus, you can just add it off of Focus Aquamere as well. It really fills in a lot of holes whenever you need it, basically. Because like, just immediately, 2 of those, boom. Like, we're set up for a whole Gishki play, but if that falls through, then, you know, it doesn't really look like we have nothing to work with. Because we have a Beaver play that can follow up into a red, and we even have the Vanity in hand. Just having the Vanity in hand can kind of help set up a Swap Frog send to the graveyard later, and then it just makes something like a Bujinki Ahashima just a little bit more attainable, even when you just draw it like this. The Focused Aquamere can help you kind of fill in holes like that. You can kind of see how it's just sort of littering the deck in these top 5 card slots here. Kind of just see, again, we're just drawing it. Even if we didn't draw that, like if that gets ashed, we have the Beaver. Like if that gets Veilered, we have the blue, you know? 1 Gishki Aquamere. It's the best way that you can just like infinitely recycle material, and It's one of your main allies in terms of like helping you gain back card advantage basically after your ritual summon, because it lets you add back the ritual spell back into the deck, and then you basically just add the ritual monster back to your hand. Without Aquamirror, we wouldn't really have a lot of the loops that are associated with the entire Gishki strategy. So I highly suggest that you try to find a way to incorporate it, because I think that you really do need just like an all-purpose ritual spell that is not going to cost you a whole bunch of life points, because yeah, it does kind of suck to do that, but it also really is awesome to just like blow the opponent out of the door, like by sending their most powerful monster to the graveyard, slapping your monster negate on the board, and then hopefully even getting something back from the graveyard that's even better. That's what Necromirror is all about, in my opinion. It's not great to pay 3,000 life points, but it's also certainly not, it's worse to pay 5,000. That's why I do not include Photomirror in this deck. It means, oh no, we cannot just use this and this. Look at that. We can't just use Shadow and Vision just to immediately go for a ritual monster. And in a lot of people's minds, that's unacceptable. So they must include the Photomirror in the deck. Photomirror, if people are unaware, Gishki Photomirror, you pay life points equal to the level of your monster times 500. So for a level 10 monster, that's 5,000 freaking life points. And you can't use Photomirror in the same duel without any extra life point alterations as a Necromirror, and that freaking sucks. In this deck, we can use Necromirror twice in one turn, as well as have a Spright starter activate somewhere before then. This is a card that does not have a hard once per turn, so I really like that part about it too, and it also helps you recycle monsters back into your deck. It's a great ritual spell, and so I think Aquamirror and Necromirror are really all you require in terms of ritual spells. Alright, the next thing that I'm going to cover is the Nimble Frog engine. First up is Swap Frog. Like Vanity, it helps you kind of like think about times when it's in your hand. Like Vanity's right here, so we summon Beaver. Like, you could think about, you know, you could just like special summon a Swap Frog basically right here. It's fantastic because it helps you facilitate Totally Awesome. It can be sent off of Spright Spells. It can be combined in with tons of weird cards, like kind of like the situation described here with like Vanity and Beaver. Like, there's so many ways to make Toad in this deck. You really don't have to worry about that. Next up, we have 3 Nimble Beaver. It is a level 2. You can special summon a Nimble monster like Blue and Grimness. It can serve as a 1-card combo enabler. Like Angler can, like, I'm actually excited to see Angler now, because with the Swap Frog, like special summon from the deck, okay, Swap Frog bounce to hand, suddenly you have Swap Frog send Angler, and we drew the Angler. So that to me is kind of like the reason why I don't want to just play one Angler. Like, I don't care if I draw Angler necessarily. Before I go into the Spright side of the deck and the Melffys, I actually just wanted to go into, that's a setup in which you could basically do a 2-card combo, and I get to show you it with just this hand right here. So, and it also works with Vision. So yeah, we'll declare Effective Grimness. We'll use the effect. Special summon Gishki Abyss from the deck. Use the effect. Add a Gishki Shadow. And now we're going to declare the effective Vision. Discard Vision. Add Ivagishki Naramonis. And from there, we're going to activate Shadow. And we're going to add Aquamirror. Now, the way that I get around not having Photomirror in the deck is by incorporating Herald of Pure Light. This has been a trick for a while for Gishkis to use Herald of Pure Light. So, because it does let you add back another copy of Vision basically to your hand, I think it's probably better to have 2 ashes, like 1 on each turn. So we'll declare Vision. Activate Aquamirror, discard Naramonis, and summon Naramonis. Declare effect, and special summon Abyss. And just try to keep in mind my zone placement. So yeah, we'll use Aquamirror effect in graveyard. It shuffles itself back into the deck to add the Neremanis back to hand. And now we can link away these two for Spright Spend. And we'll declare Sprint, send Angler, Angler effect, special summon 2 Beavers. From here, we declare Shadow, add Aquamirror, use Aquamirror effect, tribute, summon Neremanis, use Neremanis again, because this is not a hard once per turn on this card. I really like that part. Special summon Abyss again, not a hard once per turn. And add 3rd copy of Gishki Shadow. And this is why I think you need 3 shadows in the deck, because if you start with Vision and you only have 2, then you're not able to do this combo. Link these 2 for Bujinki and use the effect. And we're not under level 2s right now, so we are free to special summon 2 level 4s and overlay them into a Bahamut Shark. And now we'll declare Bahamut, detach, special summon a Toad. Now we'll declare effect of Aquamirror. Now we will overlay these 2 into Gigantic and put it into the upper left corner. And I think this just sort of works. This part doesn't, it can go here or here, but for simplicity, I keep it here. So yeah, obviously activate the effect, then when it's okay, detach. And now from here, you have a couple of options. So option 1 in this case is to summon Swap Frog, because arguably if you have another way to get to starter or something like that, you just go for Swap Frog, because you don't need to summon Spright Blue or Jet from the deck, you just summon Swap. At this point, you could send Vanity, but it's not really necessary. The next thing to do is to just link away these 2 into a Reaper-Docus, declare the effect, call Aqua, and then now you can overlay these 2 to make your second Toad. What's going to happen is that during the opponent's turn, let alone this Toad, but this Toad is going to be able to declare its effect on something, tribute itself, negate something, potentially, and then even potentially get a card from the opponent. It doesn't even need to be a monster for it to be good. Declare the effect, and now you just get to add back a copy of Gishki Shadow. Then, when they activate a monster effect of some kind, you could just declare Neremanis. You can add this card back to hand. Say they didn't even get past that Toad, so you just draw for turn. From here, you just discard Shadow. You add your Necromirror. You activate Necromirror. You tribute whatever they have. Tribute a monster they control. Doesn't matter if it's a Link or a XYZ or whatever. Pay 3,000. Declare the effect. And now you just get to special summon that Toad right back onto the field. You pass. Okay. And then during standby phase, main phase, what's going to happen again? You're going to declare the effect of Toad. It's going to go to the grave. You're going to add a copy of Gishki Shadow back. And then you're going to eventually declare the effect of Neremanis. Hopefully. And then you're going to add that card back to your hand. And then you can just keep doing that. And of course, like, we can have used these ashes and stuff like that. It's not hard to imagine that we can get to this point of the duel. Again, we just drew the, like, just imagine that this is sort of like the way it's going. This is, in theory, like, this could happen, you know, like, you don't know. Now you can activate this effect, send it back to the bottom of the deck, and then send one of your shadows to the top of the deck, hence recycling them entirely. Now you just get to declare the effect of Shadow again. Discard, add Necromere. Necromere, tribute another monster the opponent controls. Pay another 3,000. And by this point, we're out of Necromeres, but we've tributed 2 monsters, and we've summoned Toad back from the graveyard twice. So now, alternatively, instead of summoning Swap Frog, we could set up our Spright Engine. I used to just instantly go for Jet here and then go for Starter, but I actually kind of like the idea of just going for blue and then adding Carrot. Now I like to link these 2 away, and I feel like this play gets a lot stronger because of the existence of SP Little Knight, but now because we control Link 2, we can just special summon the Carrot, and now we can overlay these 2, and we can make Melffy of the Forest, declare the effect, detach, and add from deck to hand a Melffy Caddy. During the end phase, declare a Caddy and special summon. So instead of taking 5 cards and going to 7 cards, we've taken 5 cards and we've gone to 9 cards. So this is a +4 combo. And basically, this is Caddy is a Herald of the Arclight. The IP Masquerena is SP Little Knight, which has 2 forms of interaction. So already that's 3. Melffy of the Forest is another monster negate. So that's 4 interactions. You have Carrot, that's 5. Naramanus is 6. And then Toad makes 7. 7 forms of interaction off of just normal summon Grimness, and also have a Vision or a Shadow or an Aquamirror in your hand, or a focused Aquamirror in your hand. Kind of just wanted to go over that. Yeah, we can go over the Spright Engine now. So the sprites are a nice addition to the deck, I think, because I think the Spright Starter is a really cool way of just like accessing just like the monster negation, the spell and trap card negation, like the floating abilities and stuff, like the special summoning. There's so many things that the sprites actually help the Gishkis with. It makes a lot of sense to me. 2 Spright Blue. So yeah, I mentioned that it was interchangeable with Grimness. Not a ton to explain, basically. Blue is blue. The reason why I'm not playing more than 2 is just kind of due to space concerns. I'd really like to play like 3 blue, 3 jet, and like run it as like a 45 card deck, but that doesn't seem like the best to me. But I'd rather kind of choose something that works just enough so that you get just enough dexterity out of like a few turns of the Spright Engine. Yeah, that's blue. 1 Spright Jet. Again, I think that only 1 is necessary for everything to kind of work. It's very similar to Gishki Abyss, because Gishki Abyss is kind of the one that adds you. Basically, they fill similar functions. And I played it with 2 Jet, and I like it a lot. But I'm only using 1 Jet predominantly in a duel anyway. Like, if I was to use a 2nd Jet, I'm basically probably winning the duel anyway. 1 Spright Carrot. This one is the one that I like to special summon the most, because I think spell and trap card negation is really important. It's great for comboing with things like Gishki Abyss and stuff like that. Like, there are plenty of times when you just sort of like draw something like this, and you know, you draw your Grimness, and you draw like Angler and stuff like that. Like, you could go like Beaver, special summon Abyss, add Vanity, special summon Carrot, overlay for Gigantic. That's 4 summons, so that's fine for Nibiru. Detach, special summon Swap, bounce swap back to hand, send Angler off of swap, special summon 2 Beavers, and then you still have an Angler in the deck for sending from Sprint, so you can special summon a 3rd Beaver. That's why I like having the Carrot, and like just 1 is cool and it's enough. And Spright Red basically fills the same sort of role basically as Carrot. Like, I think there's probably some matchups in which you go for red over Carrot. Just having the options for the deck for the Spright package and the Gishkis and stuff, and the Melffys and the Nimbles and the Swap and stuff. Just gives players options. Spright Spells, 3 Spright starters. So yeah, this is the fourth of our 1-card combo enablers. So we actually have 12 1-card combo enablers in a 40-card deck, which is also another reason why I wanted to go from 45 cards to 40, so that I could see these 1-card combo enablers more. We play 6 of these cards if we could, and it can add to other kind of combos and stuff like that. It's great. And then Spright Smashers is kind of like the newer addition into the deck. I think it's better in my mind for me to know that like I have more guaranteed removal in the deck, as opposed to something like Spright Double Cross, which I was using for a long time, because I really do like Double Cross, but it does require a bit of setup, and sometimes I was like, man, Smashers requires a lot of setup. But if you can get to a point where you're like, you have a Gigantic in the grave, and you have like the Bujinki on the field and stuff like that. Where is that? Here it is. Then I think Smashers is actually really, really cool. It's a great target to go for Bujinki, and it really helps control the board. Now we'll just go over the Melffy Engine, just last 2 combo-based monsters. So Melffy Caddy is a level 2 monster that can special summon itself during the end phase and bounce itself to the hand and add a Melffy when the opponent... it adds a beast monster. It does not add a Melffy, it adds a friggin' beast. This is the card that lets you add Penny, and then as we've shown in our combos, it's possible to use this to go for Herald of the Arclight, and then Herald of the Arclight, when it's sent to the graveyard, can add either your Gishki Aquamirror, your Neuromanus, or your Necromere. So it helps facilitate your Gishki plays, and basically it also means that you're taking a Spright card and you're adding multiple different Gishki cards eventually off of it. If you already have Penny in your hand when you're activating Caddy, and you have an additional Nimble Beaver in the, like you only used 2, and you still have your 3rd in the deck, you just add the Nimble Beaver. And that's really cool. That just means that you have like another extender. And now we'll just go over the hand traps. Yeah, 3 Ash and 3 Infinite Impermanence. I think these are the best sort of like catch-all solutions, basically. I think that they kind of just hit the most decks, and when you see them, like I feel like they're really, really cool. Like that's not bad at all, actually. Like you would normal vision in this instance and go for Jet, and if that didn't work, then you could just overlay for Gigantic. I think Ash and Imperm are the 2 easiest to use hand traps. But yeah, so now going over the extra deck really fast. Herald of the Arclight, special summon it, banish cards that sent from the hand or deck to the graveyard. It's really, really useful with adding like Gishki Necromere or a Neuromanus. It's nice that you can just add the ritual spell directly off of it, and then if you have the ritual monster in your hand, then you're just set up for next turn, basically. Totally awesome. I showed how Toad can just sort of like loop itself back with Neuromanus, and it kind of can create like an infinite resource loop. Toad is kind of like the second boss monster of the deck. Like I'm really prioritizing making it it's really like the main boss monster of the deck, if you really want to think about it like that, because Toad summon is like almost #1 priority. Can be made in different ways with Bahamut Shark through the Shadow combo that I was showing you earlier. That's very important, integral really. 1 Herald of Pure Light, you really need it for that 1 combo. The Melffy of the Forest is awesome. I showed how I could just add like incremental like hoops for the opponent to have to jump through. 2 Gigantic Spright is great because I don't think the opponent expects it when I have a second one, or I have like a second sprint or something like that, and just really helps for grindier games. And that's what I wrote down. And the Gustav Max is here because, oh sorry, I skipped Bahamut, but it's an important card of the 2-card combo, and really the only way to make it naturally in the deck is through Bujinki, but it, like, that combo can surface in so many different ways. Like, technically you can make it with Neuromanus and Grimness, but you actually have to you have to link your Neuromanus off for Sprint in the process, so it's not like super duper ideal, but in this particular instance, you could absolutely go for an Aromatis and then continue to combo off because you have the Spright Blue and the Spright Jet, and you have the Vanity in hand. So we talked about that. Like, so yeah, that's why I kind of like the Bahamut Shark, is because it really, you can sort of set up that 2-card combo pretty easily. There it is, right there again. Gustav Max, I talked about that. Important for OTKing the opponent. In the situation like before, when we're just like attributing over the opponent multiple times and stuff like that, and adding things and stuff like that, being able to have OTK power is really, really handy. So Gustav is very important for that. 2 Sprint, again, same for Gigantic. It's really good for grindier games. They each have their own utility: Spright, Gigantic, Spright, and Sprint. And then 1 Bujiki Ahashima. As you saw, it's really integral card for the deck. Then we have 1 Reaper Docus. Basically is great for making Toad and almost nothing else. It is good. And then the IP Masquerena and SP Little Knight are fantastic for disrupting the opponent. In the side deck, I run the 1 Spright Double Cross and 1 Testudo, and then I think that those are awesome. I want to keep those around just in case like I run into Kashtira and stuff like that, and set up a Testudo, and then they can't special summon monsters at 1800 or more attack. 1 Gishki Zeal Gigas, pay 1,000 life points, draw a card, and if you do reveal it, then if it was a Gishki monster, shuffle a card from the field in the deck. Not an optional shuffle, not a hard once per turn on the draw or the effect to shuffle into the deck. And this card combos really well with Gishki Necromir, because you can use this card to stack a Gishki monster of your choosing to the top of the deck and put this to the bottom of the deck. Use the effect of Zeal Gigas, pay 1,000, draw Shadow, and then bounce a different card into the deck. So you're tributing a monster into the graveyard, and then you're shuffling another monster into the deck. Both of those things are non-targeting, non-destroying removal that work on monsters that up until they are unaffected by monster effects. 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, 2 Lightning Storm, 3 Drone Lockbird, 3 Dimension Shifter, and 3 Evenly Matched. This to me are, I think these are the hardest hitting additional 12 cards that I could be playing in this deck. Let me know what you guys think. I'm really interested to hear what you guys' opinions, what everyone's opinions are on this kind of deck. I have put a lot of work into this. There's still more combos. Like, we didn't even talk about blue and like Grimness and blue in the hand or anything like that. We barely got to show off like Swap and Grim, and like there's tons of stuff. Like, I really do think that creative players are going to find a way to kind of take this deck, and maybe even like they might decide like, you know what, that 2-card combo is not necessary whatsoever. These 1-card combos are where it's all at. Like, that might be legit way to go. I don't know. But like, I do think it's really useful if you have the ability to go for a big 2-card combo like that and end on 7 negations or 7 interruptions. I think that that's totally worth it. I don't think people should be saying that because of friggin' Spright Elf that we should not be playing this elf and playing this deck. Like, Spright Elf, if it were to come back, like, it would go right there. That's where it would go. And I would be totally stoked about that. I would adore to have Spright Elf back. I don't even remember its name. It's been so long. This card is obviously incredible, and I know that people hated to see this card go away, and I know that people thought they just immediately associated Spright Elf with this and this, but now if Spright Elf gets to come back, it's not just going to restart this Gishki engine, it's going to be the cherry on top, because I already have everything else established. I already have shown that if you have multiple of these cards in your hand, it's totally fine. If you have multiple of these in your deck, like, okay, fine, whatever. Fine. Like, this is probably why I don't want to be running 45 cards. Maybe this is probably why I ended up running a 40 card variant instead. And maybe we see a few less hand traps, but in the end, I don't think that this is totally unplayable. And I kind of want to just get this kind of deck into the hands of players who are very interested in trying something like this out. Yeah. So thanks again, and take care. Have a nice day.